Good morning, students. Today I am going to start chapter number 4, Understanding Laws from Civics. So, students, for understanding laws, first of all, we have to understand what are laws. Okay? So, students, the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties. So, students, we are all familiar with some laws such as those that specify or fix the age of marriage and the age at which a person can vote, and many laws are also made related to the buying and selling of property. So, students, whatever laws made by the parliament, and parliament is in charge of making laws in India. So, students, some questions will arise here that do these laws apply to everyone, and how do new laws come into being? Could there be laws that are unpopular or controversial? So, students, for understanding all these questions, we have to discuss about the topic number 2. And your topic number 2 is, do laws apply to all? And students, for the understanding of this topic, we have to discuss about one example which is given already in your book. So, students, a government officials helps his son go into hiding because his son has been given a 10-year jail sentence by a district court for a crime that he has committed. So, students, on the basis of that example, again some questions will arise here that do you think that government officials' action were right? So, for the first question, my answer is no. Should his son be exempt for the law just because his father is economically and politically powerful? Again, for the question number 2, my answer is no. Because whatever law made by parliament and implemented by our government, all these laws are equal for everyone, whether she is belonging to the economically or politically powerful family, or belong to any higher position, or related to any common people. Understood? Okay. So, students, the above, it is clear that if official helps his son go into hiding, it means this is the example of violation of law. All right. So, students, as there should be no arbitrary exercise of power in independent India, therefore, the members of the Constituent Assembly instituted several provisions in the Constitution that would establish the rule of law equally for the all people of India. Because all persons in independent India are equal before the law. and all laws apply equality to all citizens of the country, and no one can be above the law. That means the law cannot discriminate or differentiate between persons on the basis of their religion, caste, gender, or their political or economical position. All right? And if any crime or violation of law has a specific or fixed punishment equally for all the people of India. All right? So students, in ancient India, there were a number of and overlapping local laws which did not apply equally to all. All right? And the punishment for the same crime varied depending upon their caste, background, with lower caste being more harshly penalized or punished. You know very well that about. All right? Because earlier, before the independence of India, always people who were belong to the lower caste or class, they are all harassed and discriminate by the upper class people. All right? Okay. That's why the members of the Constituent Assembly were agreed there should be no arbitrary exercise of power in independent India. So students, again one question will arise here, that what is the arbitrary exercise of power? All right? And the meaning of arbitrary exercise is, rule of law is the doctrine that arbitrary exercise of power is controlled by subordinating power to well-defined and impartial principle of law, and one of the cornerstones of democratic society. Rule of law means that everyone is subject to the law. Understood? So, to establish a law, they instituted several provisions in the Constitution. And during the time of British colonialists, they had introduced the rule of law in India, and historians have disputed this claim as the colonial law was arbitrary and the Indian nationalists played a prominent role in the development of the legal sphere. So students, the British law of the Sedition Act of 1870 set a perfect example of the arbitrariness under this act. A person protesting or criticizing the British government could be arrested without any trial. And Indian nationalists began protesting and criticizing the arbitrary use of authority by the British. They began fighting for greater equality and wanted to change the idea of law from a set of rules that they were forced to obey, to law as including ideas of justice. And students, and the meaning of sedition is the rule or law applies to anything that the government might consider as stirring up resistance or rebellion against it. And in such cases, the government does not need any absolute evidence in order to arrest person. And under the Sedition Act of 1870, the British had a very broad interpretation of what constituted sedition. And what this meant was that they could arrest and detain any person they wanted under this act. Alright? That's why Indian nationalists were against this law of Sedition Act of 1870. Alright? So students, by the end of the 19th century, the Indian legal profession began emerging and demanded respect in colonial courts by using laws to defend the legal right of Indians, because Indian judges began to play a greater role in decision making. Therefore, there were several ways in which Indians played a major role in the evolution or change of the rule of law during the colonial period. Alright? So students, with the adoption of the constitution, laws for the country began to be made by the representatives. Okay? And every year, representative pass new laws as well as revise the existing ones. Alright? And that was Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005. And according to this law, sons, daughters and their mothers can get an equal share of family property. Similarly, new laws have been enacted to control pollution and provide employment. Alright students? Okay. After that, your next topic is how do new laws come about? So students, the parliament has an important role in making laws. An important role of parliament is to be sensitive to the problems faced by people, like the issue of domestic violence was brought to the attention of the parliament, and the process adopted for this issue to become law. And students, for the protection of women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 was implemented to protect women from being abused and injured by male. Alright students? So that's all for today. And students, please listen my lecture very carefully. And if you have any doubt or confusion, please contact me. All right. Thank you and have a nice day.